And when it comes to prison overcrowding, are we at a breaking point? Some say yes, and the reason why: a recent ban on most paroles. The ban came per the order of the governor after a gruesome home invasion in Cheshire, which shocked the state and the nation. A mother and her 2 young daughters were brutally murdered. The suspects, career criminals who had been recently paroled. But now prison guards say the prison population is out of control, and they fear for their own safety.
30 inmates forced to share one toilet. Inmates sleeping in prison classrooms and gyms.
Such overcrowding is inherently dangerous.
Correction officer Luke Leone testified he's just one of the prison guards trying to keep the peace.
Violence is up in the prisons right now due to the overcrowding. We have inmates sleeping on the floor, and it's a sign for disaster.
And some on the other side of the bars tell a similar story. Inmate Bruce Jefferson sent me this letter. In it, he describes what he calls deplorable conditions. In his letter to me, inmate 245137, who is serving time for burglary, writes, the head administration of the Connecticut Department of Correction has been outright lying to the media and the public about what's really going on in here. They do not have control of the inmate population inside of any facility. On September 17th, while I was sleeping, I was literally assaulted by another inmate just for asking him to please turn down his music. As for the conditions, inmate Jefferson goes on to write, you wouldn't believe the unrealistic amount of rats at Osborne jumping right through the window. And he writes, they are allowing us to have 1 roll of tissue to use per week, despite bad food, which makes them sick. But Correction Officer Leone says he is not here fighting for the prisoners. He's here fighting for his future because he fears for his safety, a concern the Corrections Commissioner, who's also on the panel, appeared to question.
If you're going to do the 3 strikes and you're out, we're going to have more inmates in the system, and we will need more staff, and we can't handle the overcrowding now with the staffing we have.
Meanwhile, the Department of Corrections Commissioner denies things are out of control inside state prisons. Spokesperson Brian Garnett says, quote, our system is crowded, but I would say that our staff has ensured the facilities are safe and secure. He went on to say assaults on inmates and staff members remain at a historic low. And here now to talk more about the prison population are Deputy Commissioner Brian Murphy with the Department of Correction and Cheshire Correction Officer David Testa, who is also president of the local 387 Union Council 4. Sorry if I kind of messed that up, guys. All right, let's get right to it. I guess, Commissioner, I'd like to ask you this. Who's telling the truth? You're saying one thing, the correction officers are saying another.
Good morning, Shelley. As you know, we are managing our population. Our rates are at an all-time low. We've added appropriate staff to cover the overflow population, and our prisons are running safe and secure.
So it's not out of control. So why would the correction officers say this?
Well, I'm not going to speculate what the correctional officers are saying. They are fine professionals. They do their job day in and day out. It's our responsibility and my responsibility to make sure that we have the appropriate staff to manage the inmate population, to include overflow.
And I'd like to add that you are a former correction officer. Let's move on to you, though. What are you hearing when you hear the Deputy Commissioner saying this?
Well, we can agree to disagree on certain subjects, and staffing is always an issue in prisons. It's been for some time. In 2004, they had a legislative research, and they said that Connecticut was short 700 correction officers. We've been pounding that with the commissioner, the deputy commissioner. We meet quarterly on staffing, and what we're saying now is that presently there is almost 1,000 inmates who are sleeping in gymnasium floors, in day rooms. It's unsafe for our staff. The department has added extra staff, but they've just been token staff. And we feel that we were undermanned previously and prior to this, and now with the 1,000 extra inmates on the floor, it's become a dangerous situation. And just recently over Carl Robinson, they've added a bunch of extra inmates there, and they had an incident where 4 or 5 staff members ended up getting injured. None of them very seriously, but any injury to us is
right. And again, there were some problems in the 90s with riots, and I believe in the late 80s, a federal judge took over the prison system, if I'm correct. But Deputy Commissioner Murphy, what do you want to say about this? I mean, I guess you guys can say you can agree to disagree, but I'm not happy with that answer, because you're saying one thing and you're saying another, and they're completely different. So I don't understand.
Well, we've added appropriate staff since we've taken over in 2003. We've added many posts to the regular reviews that we do. We listen to the union. We have a great dialogue with the union. And we also have added overflow posts above and beyond the additions we've made to our facilities.
But you hear him saying that there's prisoners sleeping in gymnasiums. It's putting them at risk. What's your response?
There is. Our job, Shelley, is the same, whether we're managing an inmate in an identified housing unit or we're managing them in a gym. If we do our job, we're going to be fine. And our correctional officers have been doing that job day in and day out. And we've added the appropriate staff so they can do their job.
So he's saying that you guys have the appropriate staff.
That's coming from the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. Like I said, the correction officers, we're always talking about staffing. We meet quarterly. We had the legislative review. It did talk about 700 extra staff members.
Yeah, we already got on that, so let's move on.
And what happens is there's such a pressure on us now. Prior to 2003, Commissioner Armstrong went and they went through all the facilities and they streamlined all the posts in the jobs, and they cut way back. So when the commissioner says that he's added posts since 2003, that is correct. But prior to that, they went and they cut many posts, and what they did was they cut all the fat out, and therefore we used to have extra officers on post who would be able to do shakedowns, assist in mass movements and things of that nature. Now we don't have any extra staff at all. We don't have enough counselors. We don't have enough correctional treatment officers. We don't have enough correction officers, maintenance officers, and the list goes on and on.
Commissioner?
Dave's correct. Since 2004, we've added 900 staff, and we've lost 600 through attrition, through retirements, etc. And overall, we've added 250 posts, which are identified duties for correctional officers to monitor inmates since we've taken over.
And I'd like to reiterate again that people don't necessarily, I don't know, at least the people I talk to, the prisoners, a lot of them seem to have it pretty good. So the fact that they're complaining that conditions are not great, I don't think the average people really do care. I think they think prison should be that prison. But you were saying, when prisoners are crowded and they don't have the amenities that they need, it puts you in danger.
Yes, so that's
It puts the public in danger. How does it put the public in danger?
Well, what happens is this, first of all, our job is to keep the inmates locked inside the building and make sure that that doesn't spill out into the communities. We're also responsible for their safety. I'm not an advocate for the inmates here. I'm advocating for our members and correctional staff. But when the inmates are safe, the correctional officers are safe, and the community's safe. It all works out that way.
And you're saying the community should not be worried, correct, Deputy Commissioner?
I am. Our first objective is to protect the community, our staff, and the inmates entrusted to our care. We will continue to do that, even if we manage overflow situations as we have been throughout the years.
Do you think the state needs to build more prisons?
Yes, I do. I think that not only should they build a mental health prison, they have a facility over at Cheshire that they have a housing unit with approximately 400 beds that the state's put $13.5 million in over the past 5 years, and they've been piecemealing it, and it's a housing unit that is just sitting there vacant, waiting for one day to be open.
I believe the commissioner, we have 20 seconds left, has said that she's looking into adding more beds.
I'm not sure what you're referring to or what statement, but we are managing this population. The actions taken by the state is prudent, especially after the Cheshire tragedy. Every so often, systems need to be checked, and it's time that our criminal justice system can
Have you personally felt threatened, real quickly?
Yes.
You have?
Yes, I have.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.